Alright, hey, this is Todd. Happy holidays. Doing a quick hit here with some last minute holiday gift suggestions. Books, as usual. We like those as gifts. And, well, let's get right into it. Hang on right here. Let's see. This is one that I just finished up. Thomas Pelliccia. The Wine, the 8,000-year-old story of the wine trade. This is put these down, these things are heavy. Interesting little book. It's kind of large print, moves really fast through history, and I would say it's kind of like a very broad survey of the wine history through the eyes of the trade. The most interesting part is that he really points to a pretty extensive bibliography here. So for most people, this would be a great starting off point. So if you've got somebody that's new to wine, this is a pretty approachable way to kind of put everything in context, and then from there continuing on with your studies and adventures. But fun quick read. Alright, so now whereas that one is a kind of a 20,000 foot view flying over the top of history and pointing out things here and there, Oz Clarke's New Wine Atlas, unique panoramic maps of the world's great vineyard areas, wines and wine regions of the world. Big title, big book, huge amount of information. I'm a big fan of the World Atlas of Wine, Hugh Johnson and Jansen Robinson's book. It's been a really great resource for me. This is going to sit right next to it on the shelf. And when I'm looking up, some wine I found from some strange area, I will definitely use both of them to cross-reference it. Now, as I mentioned below, the main difference between these books, they're both chock full of information. The main difference is that this has a slightly more personal narrative style, I would say. Maybe that's not the right word. But you can hear Oz Clarke's voice in it a little bit more, whereas the World Atlas of Wine is a little bit drier and really is a reference manual. I feel like there's a little bit of story in here. The really big difference is that the maps, let me find a good, okay, here's a good example. So whereas, most maps in atlases look like that, and that's pretty much what you would expect, and they're nice. They've got a lot, information to scale and all that. But the nicest thing about these is that here's the north coast of California. What you're looking at is a 3D relief map that looks a lot more like satellite imagery than anything else, and it really allows you to see relief and terrain in a way that flat maps just don't convey. And you can see how, oh yeah, Healdsburg is in the valley there over behind the mountains. I don't know, for me, who's somebody who's kind of visually oriented, I find that that's a really helpful. Other than that, the format's a lot like the World Atlas of Wine, but by no means think that they are mutually exclusive. I would definitely keep both on the shelves if you feel like you're trying to put a library together. So this one will keep me busy also for a very long time. And okay, so now whereas the first book was that 20,000 foot flight over wine history, and this one actually flies down lower and gives us really good looks at the surface terrain. This book, Great Wine Terroir by Jacques Fanet, is a translation, and this book goes underneath the earth and looks at the geologic forces that have created what we call terroir today, or at least what the earth that can produce terroir as a representation of what lies beneath. And so it is divided up between essentially, at first I was a little confused, but now I understand. It's really, the book is divided up geologically. Vineyards on the edge of faults, sedimentary basins, quaternary terraces, the ancient basement, vineyards in the foothills of mountains, and volcanic terroir. And it will look at places all over the world that fit into those different situations. But what you really do is you get, as in this map, a look at what's going on underneath the Côte de Nuit and the Côte de Bonne. So you get to see the calcareous and limestone left over from when Burgundy was a sea, which you hear about, but you never really get a good sense of, well, how deep is that and how big of a difference does it make? It's actually incredible to look at the geologic forces that have created the areas that have now become prime vineyard spots, and there are definitely patterns that can be seen. This is a cross-section of the Anjou Blanc region with Jurassic rock coming up to the surface in Brossais, whereas you've got Eocene rock at Puy Notre Dame and at the top of Saumur-Sampigny, whereas there's Turonian rock below the rest, leading down to the Loire Valley. So if you've got somebody who's a wine geek and a rock hound, this is the book for them. So that's it. Hope to see you again and see you out on the circuit at a wine dinner or a tasting. In the meantime, have happy, safe holidays, and I'll talk to you again soon. Ciao.